I don't care what anyone says. I was trying to help someone I genuinely cared about. People act like I committed some heinous crime, like I robbed a bank or burned down a building or murdered someone. But I was just trying to save a life, a real person who was suffering, who reached out to me in their darkest moment, who had absolutely no one else in the entire world to turn to. It wasn't some random guy on the internet that I'd talked to for 5 minutes. He wasn't a stranger I met yesterday. He talked to me every single day for 6 months. 6 full months of conversations, voice messages, photos, video calls where I could see his face and hear his voice. 6 months of someone actually seeing me, hearing me, understanding me in ways no one else did. He understood me better than my husband ever did. Better than my husband even tried to. Better than my husband thought was necessary. My husband stopped listening to me years ago, probably around year 3 of our marriage. Stopped asking how I was feeling. Stopped caring about my thoughts or feelings or dreams or fears. I became invisible in my own marriage, a ghost walking through my own house, existing but not really living. But this person, he asked me about my day and actually wanted to hear the answer. He didn't just say, "That's nice," while scrolling through his phone. He engaged. He remembered details from conversations we'd had weeks before. He noticed when I was sad or stressed and asked what was wrong. He made me feel like I mattered, like my existence had value beyond cooking dinner and doing laundry and keeping the house clean. If you don't believe in helping people when they're desperate and dying, that says more about you than it does about me. It says you're selfish. It says you're cold. It says you've never really cared about anyone beyond yourself and your own comfort. And the car, it was our car, not just his, ours, jointly owned. I had a right to make decisions about our shared assets too. I contributed to buying it. I drove it just as much as he did. I maintained it. I paid for insurance and gas and oil changes and repairs. It wasn't like it was some precious heirloom that only he had rights to. So yes, I sold it. I made a decision without consulting him, because honestly, he never consulted me about anything important in our marriage anyway. He made decisions about his career moves, his schedule, his life, his priorities without ever asking what I thought or how it would affect me. Why should I extend him a courtesy he never extended to me? I was being empathetic. I was being compassionate. I was being human in a world that increasingly rewards coldness and selfishness. Everything that happened after wasn't my fault. It was the fault of a cruel world where being kind is treated like being stupid, where having a heart is seen as having a weakness. It started innocently enough, the way these things always do, with no warning signs that my entire life was about to implode. I was scrolling through a social media group for people interested in travel photography one night in late April. I'd always loved photography, but never had time or encouragement to pursue it seriously. My husband certainly never supported it. He thought it was a waste of time and money, a silly hobby for someone with nothing better to do, something that couldn't possibly generate income, so why bother? That's where I saw his first post, a stunning sunset over mountains I couldn't identify, all orange and pink and purple, with a caption about how travel fundamentally changes your perspective on everything, on life and meaning, and what truly matters. Something about the way he wrote resonated with me deeply. It wasn't just pretty words designed to get likes. It felt genuine, meaningful, like he actually thought about these things. I commented something simple, probably just "beautiful shot" or "this is incredible photography." He responded within minutes, thanked me genuinely, asked if I was into photography too, asked what kind of photography interested me most. We started chatting in the comments section. Then he sent me a direct message saying he always enjoyed meeting people who appreciated beauty in the world, who saw beyond the surface of things. I should have been suspicious right then. I know that now. Looking back, all the signs were there. But at the time, I was just excited that someone interesting and worldly wanted to talk to me. Someone who wasn't my husband. someone who actually seemed interested in my thoughts. Our conversation started simple and safe: photography techniques, favorite destinations, travel bucket lists, camera equipment, editing software, normal hobbyist talk. But then they evolved into something deeper. He asked about my life, my marriage, my happiness, my dreams, and I found myself telling him things I'd never told anyone else. About feeling trapped in a marriage that felt more like a business partnership, about feeling invisible and taken for granted, about wondering if I'd made a terrible mistake marrying so young, settling down so quickly, giving up on all my dreams of traveling and experiencing the world. He didn't judge me for any of it. He just listened, really listened. He said he understood completely. He told me about his own failed marriage, about how his ex-wife never appreciated him, never supported his creative work, never saw him as anything more than a paycheck, about how lonely he'd been before we started talking. I felt seen. Finally, genuinely seen. The conversations became daily rituals, then multiple times a day, then constant throughout the day whenever we had a spare moment. Good morning texts that made me smile before I even got out of bed. Good morning, beautiful soul. Hope your day is amazing. Good night voice messages that made me feel warm and valued. Just wanted to say, I hope you sleep well. You deserve peace and happiness. Random photos throughout his day with captions like, saw this flower and thought of you because you appreciate beauty, or this sunset reminded me of our conversation about finding magic in ordinary moments. He called me beautiful, not in a creepy, predatory way, in a way that felt genuine and sincere. He said I had a beautiful soul, a beautiful mind, a beautiful way of seeing the world that most people didn't have. When was the last time my husband called me beautiful? I honestly couldn't remember. Years, probably. Maybe our wedding day. He certainly never complimented my mind, or soul, or way of seeing things. We graduated to phone calls. His voice was warm and comforting, with a slight accent that he said came from growing up overseas, moving around constantly as a military kid, never quite belonging anywhere until now, until finding connection with me. We talked for hours, about everything and nothing, about life and dreams and regrets and hopes and fears, about what we wanted from life, about what disappointed us about reality, about what we wished we'd done differently. He told me he was a freelance photographer and travel writer. He was currently on assignment in Southeast Asia, documenting traditional festivals and disappearing cultures. That's why we couldn't meet in person yet, but he promised we would soon. As soon as his contract was finished, as soon as he got back to the States, he'd already been planning what we'd do together, where we'd go. He sent me photos of himself regularly, handsome in that rugged, worldly, adventurous way, standing on beaches with wind in his hair, exploring colourful markets with locals, sitting in small cafes, writing in journals, always smiling at the camera like he was smiling at me specifically, like I was the only person who mattered. I started waiting for his messages, started checking my phone constantly, started feeling genuinely excited to wake up because I knew he'd have sent me something thoughtful overnight, started going to bed with my phone under my pillow so I'd hear if he called. My husband noticed I was on my phone more, but he didn't ask why or what I was doing. He probably assumed I was playing games or scrolling mindlessly through social media like everyone else. He certainly didn't care enough to have an actual conversation about it. He had no idea I'd found something real, something that made me feel alive again for the first time in years, something that gave me a reason to smile genuinely instead of plastering on that fake smile I wore constantly in my actual marriage. By month 3, we were talking every single day, multiple times a day. He'd send me good morning voice notes where I could hear the warmth in his voice, the genuine affection. Good morning, gorgeous. I woke up thinking about our conversation last night. You really get me in a way no one else ever has. We'd message throughout the day while I was doing mundane tasks. He made grocery shopping feel less lonely. made cooking dinner feel less like a chore when I could text him photos and he'd respond with enthusiasm and interest. "What are you making? That looks delicious. I wish I could taste your cooking." "You're such a thoughtful person. Your husband is lucky to have someone who puts so much care into everything." That last one stung because my husband never noticed what I made for dinner. Never thanked me. Just ate while scrolling his phone and said it was fine. My online friend noticed everything. He asked about my childhood, my parents, my dreams when I was young. He wanted to know what books I loved, what movies made me cry, what songs meant something to me. He asked about my fears and insecurities and what kept me awake at night. And I told him everything. I told him about growing up with a critical mother who never thought I was good enough, about marrying young because I thought that's what I was supposed to do, about slowly realizing I'd built a life that didn't fit me, but feeling trapped. Because how do you undo a decade of decisions? He shared his own vulnerabilities too, about his childhood, moving constantly, and never feeling like he belonged anywhere. About his failed marriage, where his ex-wife had an affair and destroyed his ability to trust. About feeling like he was getting older and wondering if he'd ever find real connection again. "Until I met you," he'd say, "you've restored my faith in genuine connection." We started having video calls, short ones at first because of his unreliable internet in remote locations. But I saw his face, saw him smile, saw the way his eyes crinkled when he laughed at my jokes. He looked exactly like his photos. Handsome, kind eyes, warm smile. How could it not be real when I could see him, hear him, watch him react to my words in real time? We talked about meeting in person constantly. "As soon as I finish this assignment, you're the first person I want to see," he'd say. "I've already been planning it. There's this little beach town I want to take you to. We could just walk and talk and exist together without all this distance." I'd lie in bed next to my snoring husband and imagine it. Imagine meeting him in person. Imagine what it would feel like to be truly seen and valued by someone. Imagine having a conversation that lasted more than 5 minutes without my partner getting distracted or bored. I knew it was emotional cheating. I'm not stupid. I knew I was investing energy and emotion and time into someone who wasn't my husband. But my husband had checked out of our marriage years ago. This felt like survival. Like finding water in a desert. Like finally being able to breathe after suffocating for years. It happened on a Wednesday morning in early November, and my entire world shifted in an instant. I was making coffee, still in my pajamas, planning my boring day of errands and chores, when my phone rang at 7:43 a.m. His name on the screen, which was unusual because he usually texted first, asked if I was free to talk, respected my schedule and boundaries. I answered immediately, my heart already starting to race at the unexpected call. "Hello?" His voice was completely wrong, weak, shaking, barely above a whisper. "I need help," he said, and my entire body went cold. "What's wrong? What happened? Are you okay?" "I'm in a hospital in Manila." He was struggling to speak, his words coming out in gasps. "There was an accident. A motorbike hit me while I was crossing the street outside my hotel. I have internal injuries, bleeding internally. They need to do emergency surgery, but I don't have insurance here, and they won't operate until someone pays them up front." I could hear beeping in the background, medical equipment, urgent voices speaking rapidly in Tagalog. Someone saying something about pressure and blood loss. It sounded exactly like you'd imagine a hospital emergency room would sound. "Oh my God. Oh my God. How much? How much do they need?" $15,000. He started crying. Actually crying, his voice breaking. "I've been trying to reach my editor, my agency, anyone who can help wire money, but it's the middle of the night back in the States, and no one is answering their phones, and the doctor says, I need surgery within the next few hours, or I could die from internal bleeding. He said the bleeding won't stop on its own. He said without surgery, I might not make it through the day." He was sobbing now. I could hear the terror in his voice, the desperation, the fear of dying alone in a foreign country. "Please," he whispered, and I could hear how weak he was getting. "I don't have anyone else in the world. My parents are dead. I'm an only child. I don't have close friends because I travel so much. You're the only person I trust. You're the only person who's ever really cared about me beyond what I could do for them. Please, I don't want to die here alone." My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. I felt physically sick with panic and fear. I didn't think. I didn't pause to consider logistics or red flags, or whether this made sense. I just knew someone I deeply cared about was dying, and I had the power to save them. "I'll help," I said immediately, my voice fierce and determined. "I'll help you. Tell me exactly what to do." He gave me wire transfer information between gasps of pain. Hospital payment portal, patient account number, routing information, all the specific details I'd need. "I don't have that much in my personal account," I said, my mind racing through our finances. "But we have a car I can sell. It's worth at least that much. Maybe more. I can sell it today." "No," he said weakly. "I can't ask you to sell your car. That's too much. I'll figure something else out. You're not asking. I'm offering. I'm deciding. It's just a car. It's metal and wheels and an engine. You're a person. A human life. Cars can be replaced. You can't be." I heard him sob with what sounded like relief and gratitude. "I'll pay you back. I swear to you. As soon as I recover, as soon as I can access my accounts and get back to work, I'll pay back every single penny. I promise you." "Don't worry about that now," I said firmly, already planning in my head exactly what I needed to do. "Just focus on staying alive. Focus on breathing. Focus on holding on. I'll handle everything else." We said goodbye, and I immediately went into action mode. I didn't even change out of my pajamas. I just grabbed my laptop and started posting the car for sale on every single platform I could find. Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, local buy and sell groups, Nextdoor, auto trader sites, everywhere. 2019 Honda Civic, excellent condition, must sell today, cash only, $18,000 OBO. Within 20 minutes, I had multiple interested buyers messaging me. Within an hour, I'd agreed to meet someone who offered $18,000 cash, no negotiation needed. Within 3 hours, I was standing in a parking lot, handing over the title and keys, while someone counted out $100 bills into my shaking hands. Within 4 hours, I had $18,000 in cash sitting in my purse, and I was walking into a wire transfer location. The person behind the counter looked at me strangely when I said I needed to send $15,000 to the Philippines for a medical emergency. "Are you sure about this?" she asked. "This is a common scam pattern. Hospital emergencies in foreign countries. We see this a lot." "It's not a scam," I said firmly. "I know this person. We've been talking for months. I've seen him on video calls. This is real." She shrugged and processed the transfer. I walked out with a receipt and immediately texted him a photo of it. "Sent, $15,000 on its way. Please be okay. Please survive this." His response came within minutes. "You saved my life. I can't believe you did this for me. I don't know how I'll ever repay you. You're an angel. You're the most incredible person I've ever known." I felt warm all over. Proud, important, powerful. Like I'd done something that truly mattered. Something heroic. Something that separated me from all the selfish people in the world who wouldn't help a stranger. I'd saved someone's life. How many people can say that? How many people have actually done something that meaningful? I walked home feeling like I was floating, feeling like I'd finally done something important with my existence. It was 3 days later when my husband finally noticed something was wrong. He came home from work around 6 p.m. like always, walked up the driveway, and stood there for a long moment before coming inside. I was sitting on the couch scrolling through my phone, checking obsessively for messages from my friend, getting increasingly worried that he hadn't responded since thanking me. "Where's the car?" my husband asked casually, as he set his briefcase down on the kitchen counter. "I sold it," I said without looking up from my phone. He laughed. Actually laughed out loud. "Good one. Seriously, where is it? Did you park it somewhere weird? Is it in the shop?" "No, I actually sold it," I said, finally looking at him. "I needed the money. It was urgent. Life or death situation." His smile faded slowly. "What are you talking about?" I took a breath, preparing for the conversation I knew would be difficult. Here's where I'd have to explain everything, and I knew he wouldn't understand. He never understood anything that required emotional intelligence or empathy. Someone I know had a medical emergency. They were in a hospital and needed emergency surgery and didn't have insurance. I helped them. I did the right thing. He stared at me like I'd just spoken a foreign language. "Someone you know?" "Who?" "A friend," I said defensively, already feeling my walls go up. What friend needs $15,000 for emergency surgery? 18,000 actually. I sold it for 18, and it doesn't matter who they are. What matters is that I helped someone who was literally dying, someone who had no one else. I saved someone's life. "Let me get this absolutely straight," he said slowly, his voice getting that dangerous, calm quality that scared me more than yelling. "You sold our car, our only vehicle, without asking me, without consulting me, without even mentioning it, and gave the money to someone I've never heard of for a medical emergency I know nothing about." "You're never around to ask," I shot back, feeling defensive and attacked. "You're always working. You're always busy. You never have time for me or for conversations about anything important. So yes, I made a decision on my own, like you do constantly, without considering how it affects me." His jaw clenched. "Who is this person?" I grabbed my phone and pulled up our conversation, showed him the messages, the photos he'd sent, the voice notes, the video call screenshots I'd saved. He scrolled slowly through everything. His face was completely unreadable. Not angry yet, just processing. Then he stopped on one of the photos, the one from the hospital bed, with the IV and medical equipment. He stared at it for a long moment. "This is a stock image," he said quietly. "No, it's not. He sent that directly from the hospital where he was being treated. It's from Shutterstock. I can literally reverse search it right now and show you." "You're just jealous," I said, my voice rising with defensive anger. "You're jealous that someone else paid attention to me, that someone else made me feel important and valued, that someone else actually cared about me and my thoughts and my feelings." He looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before on his face. Not anger, not even disappointment. Pity, like he was looking at a stranger, like he was looking at someone he felt sorry for. "Okay," he said quietly. "That's all. Just one word." "Okay." Then he turned and walked upstairs to our bedroom, taking his briefcase with him. That scared me more than if he'd screamed or thrown things or started a huge fight. That calm, "okay," felt like a door closing permanently. He didn't speak to me for 2 full days. Didn't yell, didn't argue, didn't ask more questions, didn't bring up the car again. He went to work early, came home late, slept in the guest room, communicated only through text messages for basic logistics, working late. "Don't wait up. Out of milk." The silence was worse than fighting. At least fighting meant he still cared enough to engage. This felt like indifference, like I'd already been erased. Meanwhile, I kept checking my phone obsessively for messages from my online friend, the man whose life I'd saved. Nothing. No messages, no calls, no updates on his surgery or recovery. I sent message after message. "How are you feeling? How did the surgery go? Are you okay? Did everything go smoothly? Please respond when you can. I'm really worried about you. Just let me know you're alive." All undelivered. Every single one showing that grey, undelivered status that meant the account wasn't receiving messages. I tried calling his number. Disconnected. The automated voice said the number was no longer in service. I checked his social media profiles that I'd looked at hundreds of times, all deleted, every single one. Facebook, Instagram, the photography forum where we met, all gone like they'd never existed. I searched for his name online with all the details he'd given me, searched for freelance photographers with his name, travel writers with his portfolio, anyone matching his description or his story. Nothing came up. Literally nothing. Like he was a ghost. My stomach started to sink with a horrible realization I didn't want to acknowledge. But I pushed it away. Made excuses to myself. Maybe his phone died and he hasn't had a chance to replace it yet. Maybe he's still in intensive care and hasn't had access to his accounts. Maybe the hospital has strict rules about electronics during recovery. Maybe he's just focused on healing. There were reasonable explanations. There had to be. But deep down, in a place I wasn't ready to consciously acknowledge yet, I knew the truth. I started reverse searching the images he'd sent me. Every single photo. The hospital photo with the IV, Shutterstock, available for purchase for $29.99, used on multiple medical websites. His face in those selfies? Stolen photos of a Brazilian fitness model whose images had been taken from Instagram years ago. There were entire articles about this model's photos being used in romance scams. The sunset pictures from his travels. Belonging to a travel blogger from Germany. Right-click, search Google for image, found the original source immediately. The street market photos, stock photography from Thailand tourism sites, the hospital paperwork he'd sent showing his name and patient ID, Photoshop templates available on scammer forums. Everything was fake. Every single thing. He never existed. Not his name, not his face, not his job, not his life story, not his feelings. None of it was real. I sat on the bathroom floor and cried until I threw up. Then I cried more until I couldn't breathe properly. Then I just sat there in numb shock, staring at the wall, trying to process that I'd given $15,000 to absolutely no one for absolutely nothing. That's when I heard my husband come home downstairs. I eventually went downstairs with red, swollen eyes that I hadn't bothered to wash. My husband was sitting at the kitchen table with his laptop open and stacks of papers organized around him in neat piles. "We need to talk," he said calmly without looking up. I sat down across from him, unable to meet his eyes, feeling shame burning through my entire body. "I've spent the last 2 days doing extensive research," he said in that calm, measured voice. "The person you sent money to doesn't exist. The hospital you wired money to never received any payment under that patient name or account number. The wire transfer went to an untraceable account in Nigeria, routed through the Philippines, which is a country known for elaborate financial scams. The photos were all stolen from various sources online. The voice notes were likely AI-generated or stolen recordings from someone else. The video calls were probably deepfake technology or pre-recorded footage. Everything was fake, meticulously, carefully, professionally fake." "I know," I whispered, tears starting again. "You know? You figured it out on your own." I nodded miserably, unable to speak. "And you didn't think to tell me, to apologize, to acknowledge that you sold our only vehicle based on an elaborate lie?" "I was going to," I said weakly. "I just needed time to process what happened, to understand how I could have been so stupid." "Time to process," he repeated flatly, like the words tasted bitter. "Our car is gone. $15,000 is gone. Our ability to get to work reliably is gone. And you needed time to process before mentioning any of this to me." "I'm sorry," I sobbed, putting my face in my hands. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I really thought it was real. I thought he was real. I thought I was helping someone who needed me." "Did you ask me before selling the car?" "No." "Did you consider for even 1 second that maybe I needed that car too? That maybe selling a shared vehicle without consulting your partner is a massive betrayal of trust?" You never consult me about anything important, I said defensively through my tears. He laughed bitterly. It was an awful sound. I've never sold your belongings without telling you. I've never given away our shared assets to strangers on the internet. I've never lied by omission about something this financially significant and life-altering. He stood up and gathered all the papers he'd been organizing. What are those? I asked, my voice small and frightened. Don't worry about it, he said coldly. You'll find out soon enough. You made unilateral decisions about our shared life. Now I'm making some of my own. Then he walked out of the kitchen, leaving me sitting alone at the table, crying into the silence. The next morning, I woke up to discover my life had fundamentally changed overnight. I went to the coffee shop on the corner, like I did every morning, ordered my usual latte, pulled out my credit card to pay. Declined. That's weird, I said to the barista. Let me try another one. Declined. I tried my third card. Also declined. I'm so sorry, I told the embarrassed barista. I don't understand what's happening. Let me call the card company. I stepped outside and called the number on the back of my Visa. This card has been cancelled by the primary account holder, the automated voice informed me. My stomach dropped. I called my MasterCard. This account has been closed. My Discover card. This account is no longer active. Every single credit card I owned had been cancelled overnight. I rushed home, my heart pounding, and tried to log into our joint bank account online. Access denied. Please contact your financial institution. I called the bank with shaking hands. Ma'am, your name has been removed from this account by the primary account holder as of yesterday afternoon. What? He can't do that. That's my money too. Actually, ma'am, according to our records, if one party removes another from a joint account, that's within their legal rights, as long as they're a named account holder. You'll need to speak with him directly about reinstating your access. I tried to call my husband. It went straight to voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. I called 5 more times. Voicemail every time. I tried to use the Wi-Fi to send him emails and messages. The Wi-Fi wasn't working. I went to the router and saw it was unplugged. When I tried to plug it back in, nothing happened. I checked online on my phone data and saw that he'd cancelled our internet service entirely. Then my phone suddenly showed no service in the top corner. He'd removed me from our family phone plan. I was completely cut off from everything. No money, no credit, no internet, no phone service. I couldn't even call for help. I sat on the floor and tried to process what was happening. He'd systematically cut off every single one of my resources in less than 24 hours. I realized I needed to get to him physically, talk to him face to face, explain, beg for forgiveness, something. I started to grab my keys to drive to his office. Then I remembered. We had no car. I'd sold it. I had to walk, in November, in the cold. 45 minutes to his office building downtown. I put on my tennis shoes and started walking. By the time I got to his office building, I was sweating despite the cold, my feet aching, my lungs burning from the unusual exertion. The receptionist told me he was in meetings all day and couldn't be disturbed. I waited in the lobby for 4 hours, watching people come and go, until he finally came downstairs. You can't do this, I said immediately, standing up so fast I felt dizzy. You can't cut me off from everything. I need access to money. I need internet. I need my phone. I need... You need, he interrupted calmly. That's interesting. Tell me, did I need you to consult me before selling our car? That's different. That was an emergency. And this is consequences. I can make financial decisions without consulting you, just like you did. Fair is fair. This is punishment. No, this is protection. I'm protecting our remaining assets from your demonstrated poor judgment and impulsive decision-making. I need access to money. How am I supposed to buy food, pay for things, live? You should have thought about that before you gave away $15,000 to a scammer on the internet. I didn't know it was a scam. I thought it was real. That's exactly the problem, he said, his voice still maddeningly calm. You didn't know. You didn't verify, you didn't check, you didn't think critically, you just acted on pure emotion, and now there are real-world consequences for that decision." He turned to walk away. "What am I supposed to do?" I called after him desperately, my voice breaking. He looked back over his shoulder. "Figure it out, like I have to figure out how to replace a car you sold without permission. Like I have to figure out how to rebuild trust you destroyed. Like I have to figure out how to move forward from this betrayal." Then he disappeared into the elevator and was gone. I had to walk 45 minutes back home. Over the next week, my life systematically fell apart piece by piece. On day 3, I came home from the library, where I'd been using their computers to desperately apply for jobs, to find half our furniture missing. The couch was gone. The coffee table was gone. The TV and entertainment center were gone. The dining room table and chairs were gone. Just empty spaces where they used to be. There was a note on the kitchen counter in his neat handwriting. "Needed to recoup some of our financial losses. I'm sure you understand. After all, these are shared assets, and I have just as much right to make decisions about them as you did about the car." I called him from the library's phone the next day. He answered this time. "You can't just sell our furniture," I shouted into the phone while librarians shushed me. "I can, actually. Just like you could sell our car. What's the difference?" "This is insane. Where am I supposed to sit? Where am I supposed to eat?" "I left you a folding chair. That should be sufficient." "This is cruel." "No, this is accountability. You wanted to make unilateral decisions about our shared property. Now I'm doing the same. You're experiencing exactly what you put me through." He hung up. The next day, more was gone when I got home. Our bed, the mattress, the box spring, the frame, all gone. The guest room furniture, gone. The dresser where I kept my clothes, gone. Kitchen appliances I barely used but liked having. The stand mixer, the food processor, the coffee maker, all gone. Another note. "Continuing to liquidate assets. Making executive decisions without consultation, just like you taught me." By the end of the week, the apartment was nearly empty. One folding chair remained in the living room. One air mattress in the bedroom that he'd left inflated. One lamp. Basic kitchen essentials only. One pot. One pan. 2 plates. 2 forks and spoons. My clothes were in a suitcase on the floor because my dresser had been sold to a second-hand furniture store. I had to wash dishes by hand because he'd sold the dishwasher to an appliance resale shop. I had to hang my clothes on the shower rod because there was no closet rod left. The bathroom towels were gone, except for 2 thin ones. I was living in an echo chamber of empty rooms and my own terrible decisions.